back to For the Love of Men podcast. My name's Courtney Shand, and I'm hosting with my dear friend Brianna Mosier.
Hi.
The intention of this show is to bring together men and women to create healthy, polarized relationship dynamics by learning how to honor each other's natural masculine and feminine energetic core. So before we dive in, I am super excited for today. I'm going to introduce you to my friend Bri. I'll introduce you to myself, and then we have some really fun, hopefully relatable content for you today.
Yeah.
So welcome if you're new here. My friend Bri, tell all my new friends who you are, what you do, what your magic is in the world.
Yeah, so obviously my name's Bri. My specialty is working with really high achieving, driven women in accessing and embracing their feminine energy and breaking the patterns of who they attract. So attracting really emotionally available, empowered masculine partners that they can hopefully, go on to have long-term relationships with or build their life with. And part of my background is in sex, love, and intimacy. So I do a lot of pleasure work with these women as well, coming alive inside their bodies and feeling uninhibited in their expression. So that is my work in the world. A lot of trauma healing, a lot of recovering from family dysfunction to show up as healthy partners. And Courtney's work, as you know, as I've said maybe 100 times, is similar but different in a beautiful way. Tell the people.
Yes, I am a trauma-informed dietitian and feminine energy mentor. I love helping women heal those previous relationship patterns. A lot of times, like you were saying, it does go way back, multiple generations back. And so when we can start to heal from the root level like that and really embrace the information that we're getting from our body, we create this inner security that allows our heart to not only be supported and therefore just naturally unfold so that you can feel like you can put your heart into the world, your creativity, your emotional expression, and create healthy relationships with not only yourself and others and your body, but with everything around you. So love doing that work with women and helping them release that tension that they feel that they've probably been carrying around for a long time.
Amazing. So good.
Yeah.
What are we talking about today?
The things that this is your episode. We are here to talk about the things that cause women to go into her masculine energy. The things that create that masculine shield or masculine experience as the person being across from her on the date. We want to pull the curtain back for you so that you have some insight as to what's happening and what the solution can be.
Yeah, well said. These are some of the ways you might not realize you might be showing up in wounded feminine or feminine energy. Specifically, we're thinking of like on your first few dates, but I would honestly say these apply through the whole relationship too. If you want to bring out the most feminine, juicy, playful, melty, delicious feminine energy that you love in your woman or in the woman that you're dating, shifting into your empowered masculine is going to be the best way to allow that to happen. But sometimes men show up in these ways that we're about to tell you that create the opposite effect. And then they're confused by like, why is she so closed? Or why is she guarded? Or, so just like Courtney said, we're going to point those out and then we're going to give you the teachable counterpoints so you can shift them.
Yeah. There is something to be done.
Yes.
And not to fear. Yeah. Start us off, Bri.
Yeah. Okay. So if you're you've heard our work before, that one of the core needs of the feminine is to feel safe. And there's this term in polarity word called holding a container in the relationship or in the dating dynamic, which helps the feminine feel really safe. So sometimes when you're dating, men will kind of, from a wounded feminine place, not from like an empowered, confident, I've got my own life going on place, but from a wounded feminine place, try to play it cool. They're like, I don't want to come on too strong, but I really like her. So I'm going to pretend like I don't care. I'm going to kind of be like cool, aloof about it. And then you don't really text to reach out to make plans, or you're not sending the good morning text. Maybe you think it's, too much.
Simping.
Yeah, there's the shame. Usually this is common with wounded masculine too, like that shame around it. But we call it wounded feminine because it's rooted in insecurity. And not being able to open up and be vulnerable and know you can pursue somebody. And if it doesn't work out, you're going to be okay. It's not personal, right? So he tends to play it cool. And what that happens is she doesn't know if he's really interested or not. She's kind of sitting there like, do I text him? Is he gonna text me? Should I be initiating these plans? And the moment that starts going through her head, she's not in this, oh, I'm relaxed, I feel pursued, I feel wanted. She's like, what's going on? I feel a little confused. I need to make sense of this. Do I need to take action? That's putting her in her masculine energy. The take home I want you to remember here is that women want to feel pursued and wanted. And even your wives still want to feel pursued and wanted. Like, yeah, that's what I'll say about that. So playing it cool doesn't actually serve you. Giving healthy space does. But pretending to be aloof does the opposite of what you think.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we were talking about before this is what it does on her side is, even if it is done in a not, it's just done kind of under your awareness, it's going to be triggering her hold myself energy. So any ground that you make in the first couple of dates, the first couple of interactions where she's like softening into her feminine and feels really safe and juicy around you, the feminine has to have enough support to naturally open. Like her heart will not open around you if she doesn't feel on a visceral level like it is safe to do so. And a lot of women, especially my clients, I'm sure yours do too, they will engage this masculine energy to hold themselves. And if that's the case, if my masculine energy is having to come online in a scenario like this, I might as well just turn around and go the other way, because I'm still very much in charge of where I'm directing my heart. And if it is not feeling like a safe, inviting space for me to be pointing my heart in your direction, then it's not going to happen. I'm going to move it the other way. So it's not even necessarily that she's in like this wounded masculine guarded space. It can sometimes just be like, I don't know, there's just not enough clarity over there for me to feel like this is where I want to be spending some emotional energy. If I'm having to guess, or if I'm just not sure how you're feeling, kind of pulse check here, like, are you still alive? It's just not going to turn my heart towards that situation as the feminine. You want her empowered feminine energy. Again, not this wounded feminine meeting wounded feminine. And that's what you will get, is you're going to be kind of like playing on and pulling down on the person that's across from you. And what we want to help you create is this pulling up effect of you are naturally bringing out the best of her, which naturally allows her heart to open, allows her body to feel soft and safe. And that's when you get the best of her. And so really bringing that, this to the surface of like the playing it cool, the waiting a couple days, I'll let that text wait. It actually kind of achieves the opposite effect than what you're wanting.
Yeah, agreed. Depending on the woman, she'll either pull back her energy if she's mostly empowered feminine, or she'll get really anxious and then feel like she's pulling on you. And that's, you know, we love her so much, but probably not the energy you were going for. Yeah.
Yeah. She's not going to feel very attractive around you, and therefore you're going to lose attraction in her eyes.
Nothing feels more empowered feminine than when you as the woman feel attractive and you feel desired and you feel pursued. What happens is her walls come down. She's way more uninhibited. She's way more likely to take risks and be playful and silly and fun and all the things you want, because she's like, oh, he likes me, he wants me, he's pursuing me.
More of
I
this.
can let go. Yeah, exactly. So what you need to know is that consistency in your communication and showing genuine interest consistently is a really good thing. That's going to bring out her feminine. Yeah.
Boom.
Should we talk about the counterpart?
Yeah. Okay. Yep. This has to be said.
You want to take it away?
Yeah. Because the same side, the other side of the same coin is this like coming on too strong. Not too strong as in like what we think of as this like just machismo kind of like
macho.
Hey.
Yeah.
But coming on too strong in that you're like wanting to engage, and she's not reciprocating. That lack of being able to tune into what's happening in front of you and read the room a little bit is also going to create a similar dynamic where she's like, I don't understand why. Someone that respects themselves as a self-respecting person, you're going to be wanting to kind of volley back and forth. It doesn't mean that it has to be exactly like tit for tat. Like, she didn't say anything last night and therefore I'm not going to text her until she responds. Like that doesn't necessarily make sense. Maybe the conversation kind of like lulled. You can always pick the conversation back up. That's different. This is what I'm saying here is like, if she didn't respond an hour later, like, hey, what are you doing? Hey, what do you think about? Hey, it's going to create kind of a pulley, like a tugging on your shirt sort of feeling. And I don't actually mean that to sound juvenile, because men have a lot going on in their life too. And it's a lot of times I find for these people kind of unconscious that you are very focused on what you're doing in your life. And this is kind of like a reprieve for you from other things to focus on. But just to stay aware of the experience of what's actually happening. Being able to kind of tune into what's actually happening, what's happening between the two of you, and get a sense for how much communication feels like enough with this person. Some people have lower communication drives earlier on, and that's okay. And sometimes this can create a miss where it doesn't need to. Anything you want to add to that?
Just attunement is the skill. Attunement is the skill. So be gauging how much is she engaging, you know? And if you're sending that, like, if you've sent the initial text and maybe you've sent the follow-up, if you're going like 3 or 4, you know, that sort of thing, she's either busy and doing something and she'll get there when she gets there, or she might not be as interested, and that's okay. It's nothing against you. It's more like the empowered thing to do would be to pull your own energy back so that you're not overwhelming her. I know you were saying you don't want to sound juvenile, but wounded feminine is the child energy, right? It's our inner child that's like, hey, come on. It comes from this place of like, validate me, you know, show that you want me, show that you're engaging. But when you come on too strong from that wounded feminine, it can feel a little suffocating. So we don't want to give you a mixed message. It's really about tuning into sincerely how you feel about somebody and showing genuine interest, but practicing, okay, is she engaging back? You know, I'm pursuing her. Is she also interested? And not continuing to like pursue harder if she's not mirroring your interest.
Oh, I see that happening so often with men. This is one of the biggest challenges with the male clients that I have worked with, is that they find themselves in relationships where it is imbalanced and not in a healthy, like masculine giving way, because it started out this way. It started out where she's kind of like, you know, maybe being polite. And I don't think men understand that women will respond out of politeness. And that's something that we are working on educating women about, of being very honest in that way too. But that they take that as, I need to try harder. And it's almost like they need to like try from every different angle to find the entry point for the conversation to just evolve, instead of letting the conversation evolve because you are sturdy and she is over here. Like, to kind of have two equally sturdy people is going to be a really fun dynamic to play with, versus like you having to constantly like try to get in. And I do find that that is where men will be driven by this wounded feminine, this wound to their own relationship to their emotions, that causes them to like kicks them into overdrive. And they are interpreting it as masculine energy of like, I'm pursuing her. I'm definitely making it known that I'm interested. The problem isn't that you're not making it clear. It's that she's not reciprocating and that you're not seeing that clearly. And that's causing this dynamic imbalance.
Well said. There's often when I coach women and a guy is very, you know, coming toward her. Oh, how do I say this clearly? Sometimes it ends up being wounded feminine energy. She finds out later on, like, it was really out of insecurity and him wanting to choose her to feel good enough and kind of like attain her almost, versus the very empowered masculine energy. He's, you know, grounded, like Courtney said, self-respecting and pursuing her out of interest, but also doesn't need her to pick him back in order to feel good about who he is. That's going to be unwavering regardless. That's takes some time. It can be a skill for people of all genders to learn. That takes a while. Yeah. I feel like we handled those pretty well.
Check.
Okay, amazing. Number 3, arguably the way to Courtney's heart. I will tell you, this next one, I had a client, I have had so many clients, and my clientele is purely like high achieving, successful women who are really capable, have their life together, you know? and want healthy partnership. And the thing they tell me the most often when men drop the ball and they're explaining it to me, it's because he is not picking the plan directly. It's because men are on the apps going like, well, what do you want to do? When do you want to meet up? And would you want to go for coffee or dinner? Or, hey, I've never been in that part of town. What recommendations do you have? Could you make the recommendation? Like, I'd just love to go somewhere you go. And I totally understand that he's wanting to make her happy. I'm sure that's what's going on in his head. Like, I just want her to be happy and have a good time with me. But what happens for her, the felt experience is, well, now I'm having to plan the date. And now I feel like I'm taking myself out on this date. And I feel like I'm responsible for leading the date. And then I'm not relaxing into the date. I'm actually thinking about, does he like it? What would he want? What does he need? And I'm gathering all that information, organizing it, and putting it into a plan. And then I'm thinking about where is parking and where is that. And again, nothing wrong with that, except that that is not my feminine energy.
Nope. Great point. Yeah. If you're wanting her feminine energy, that's not going to be it.
Yeah.
That's not the way to get it.
Exactly. Especially single moms, if you're dating single moms, or in general, if you're dating your wife, she does not want to plan that date. She does not want to plan that date. In fact, a message I got from a client this past week was, she told me, I was so impressed by this. I felt like a little melty feminine puddle. These are her words. Because he said to me, don't worry about the plan. I've got it covered. It's casual attire. Be ready at 7. I'll pick you up.
Let's just break that down on why this was so successful.
Yes. The play-by-play. Replay.
Don't worry about it. Phrase to every woman's heart.
Off your brain.
I've got
Off
it.
my brain.
I've made the plan. This is what I need from you. It is removing pressure from her, taking the thinking out of it, supporting her, and creating clarity for her of what to expect, what she needs to bring, which is herself. Are we in sync again?
I knew
or
what you were
what?
gonna say.
Oh my gosh.
I knew what you were going to say.
Read my brain, Brie.
Her job is to be playful, melty, warm, feminine energy.
Yep.
Where's the parking? She doesn't know.
Oh, don't ask me where the parking is.
Are there reservations? I'm not sure. She's just like, oh, I'm going on a date with my man. I feel amazing. I feel pursued. I feel taken care of. I feel desired. I feel wanted. I'm telling you, you want to win so many points for not that much effort. Set the plan. The one caveat I have here is, by all means, you can ask her, what her preferences are. And I would say it like this. I would love to take you out, and I'm happy to make the plan for us. Do you have any preferences or things you've been craving or wanting to do lately?
So well said.
And
Take
then,
that, write it down.
There you go. And then she's going to be like, either no, I trust you. Go ahead with whatever you think. Or she's going to be like, yeah, actually, I've been really wanting to try. I've been craving sushi. Great. And then you just say, awesome, I'll take care of it. That's it. The emotional labor of planning a date is a lot. It's a lot. Take that off her plate, and you've just alleviated so much of the emotional burden for her. Easy.
How do you feel? Do you get this in your clients? Because we have different clientele at different points in the relationship journey. So I'm curious, your clients, do you find that there is any pulse on going back and forth of planning dates?
It depends on the woman and also where she is in her own healing.
Yeah.
So when I work with a woman who's just learning how to be in her feminine, I find that sometimes, and they were previously really in their masculine, sometimes they can be very too strong in their boundaries and rules. Like, I don't want any back and forth. I just want him to pick the plan. And there's no tolerance for communicating. And she takes that question of like, hey, I'm happy to make the plan. What do you want to do? She'll take that as like I don't even want to tell him what I want, which is a pretty wounded perspective. And it's my job to check her on that in a really loving way. But can you repeat your question? I got sidetracked.
Just the idea of women making plans for dates.
Yeah.
That it doesn't mean that you're not in your feminine. It can be done. It just, if this is an initial dating experience, that's where we're talking about these. But, and I think maybe the answer is it depends on the type of relationship or where it is in its
and where she
growth
is.
And where the people are in their own development.
Totally. Yeah. I will say in the beginning, though, they definitely want to feel pursued. And the easiest way to do that with a woman who's really successful is to plan that date and let her know that you can take the lead, because that also lets her know, oh, I'm not going to have to be in my masculine energy all the time in this relationship. Oh, he's got me. He has my back. He's reliable. He can take the decision making off my plate. Women who are in positions of power want to come home to a relationship where often, maybe not all women, but when they're craving to be in their feminine, they want to make less decisions.
Mm-hmm.
They just want to relax and exhale, you know? So that's what you're doing when you plan the date.
Mm-hmm. Amazing.
Not that they can't, by the way. I feel like important caveat, it's not that we can't plan the date. It's not that we're not capable. It's just, it's a really nice break when you're the one who's always having to make the decisions all day long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. I only bring that up because I think that can sometimes be a polarity hard line for people of like, men will say like, but it is nice to have a date planned. I want the date to be planned occasionally too, which is totally fair.
Yeah.
Maybe later in the relationship.
Yes.
Very fair. But yeah, I was just curious if you had any,
Oh, I see what you mean now. Yeah, I do think it changes later on. I mean, my partner and I have been together 2 years. I plan the dates sometimes, and it's fun. I do it from a very feminine place, but that's because I know I don't have to. But I'm like, oh, I really want to nurture him. It's not a mothering thing. It's like, I love him so much. I want to spoil him. Like, what could be
share
really
this with you.
fun? Yeah, and it's more desire, energy, and I want to be with you versus the emotional labor is on me to plan the dates. You know, every couple's balance of that, I think, is different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point. Great point. Speaking of dates, this next one is going to be major points.
What is it?
This one.
Fuck the club. We're joking about it.
Yeah, you want to lead?
Courtney came up with a brilliant phrase. Courtney is hilarious.
Thank you.
You guys don't get to see
I know.
as much as I do. Because I get the giggly feminine friend when it's just like feminine giggles all the time, back and forth. Courtney came up with a hilarious phrase. I feel like you should say it. It's your phrase.
Yeah. So we always talk about leading the conversation, being a very attractive masculine quality. When men are not taking the lead in the conversation, it is going to feel like she is having to do all of the question asking. And that's when her clipboard comes out and she is like interviewing you. If you don't want to be interviewed on a date, take the lead. And what that means is to ask the follow-up questions. We were joking because when we were writing this down, it was like follow-up. Shorthand in medical is F/U for follow-up. And so Bree wrote F.U Qs. And this is when you need to give some fucks. FUQ. Follow-up questions. We want you to give lots of fucks on dates. FUQs. That is,
12.
or 15. You cannot overdo it with these if they are genuine. It will be the most efficient use of your masculine energy to just genuinely lean into the conversation. Get curious. Ask the follow-up question. It is going to put you in such a masculine role without having to think of all of these like predetermined questions. You don't need scripts on these. Just lean in with curiosity and ask things like,
How does that make you feel?
how does that make you feel?
Tell me more about that.
Wow, tell me more.
That's so interesting. When did you first learn about that? Oh my gosh, that must have been so hard. How are you doing with it?
Bree's the queen of fucks. Like, truly.
Pleasure-led and conversation-led. I'm just joking. Just jokes.
Yes.
And notice how it's fucks, not fuck. It's not give a fuck.
Yeah.
It's give multiple fucks.
FUQ.
Follow-up questions are the honey. And I'm telling you, again, I hear feedback from women all the time. Sometimes it's my job to listen to what went wrong on the date to help a woman, shift her energy and attract a partner who is going to give a lot more fucks, right? And this is one of the things women often share with me is I feel like I'm leading the conversation. In fact, I just had a video go viral on TikTok. If you don't follow me on TikTok, it's Building Great Coaching. Thank you. It's at 500,000. And there are all kinds of comments underneath. And the video is on sharing with women 3 ways that they show up in their masculine on dates without knowing it. And one of those points is they treat the date like an interview and they carry the conversation on their back. Okay? Their spine is aching. She wants a break. Conversation. Caring all the time. She wants to put it down. Okay? And without a doubt, the most common comment I got were women being like, yes, I would love to do that. The problem is men don't lead the conversations. And then I feel like I'm the one having to do that. And I think part of it is, generally speaking, people who are socialized as women are often socialized to have a lot more empathy and attunement. Mm-hmm. So when things get uncomfortable, they're willing to step in and fill the space in the silence. Mm-hmm. But by far and large, they don't want to. Mm-hmm. They don't want to. And also, because they are so empathetic and attuned, they're used to typically in their life always being the one to ask questions to other people. She's asking her kids questions. She's asking her sister questions. She's asking her friends questions. Hopefully she has mutually beneficial friendships, so that's not always the case. But there's something really nourishing and masculine about having the container held for you, meaning he's leading that conversation and so attuned to her and curious and wants to hear about her inner world. That's gonna immediately put her in this lean back feminine state, reflective, inspired, creative, playful, warm, emotional, those juicy things that you love about feminine energy get to come out when you're holding the space and asking her those really thoughtful questions. You can't give too many fucks. You really can't.
You can't. You can't. And if you are feeling like there is some anxiety here, because I will say that this is the men that I see this playing out with, sometimes may have some like social anxiousness that will come up when there is a pause in the conversation. And as a knee jerk, they will want to fill it with a question. And what I often encourage for those clients to do is to think of it like studying a gem, a pearl, something in your hand. You're not going to be like so microscopic with it. You can sometimes zoom out and just observe it. Mm-hmm. That can feel really relaxing as well, to just have a reflection. It mm-hmm. doesn't have to be a question with a question mark. It can just be a reflection that lets the person know like they feel seen. Like they're telling a story and you can say, wow, that is really interesting. I bet you felt so, just guess. Just hit the mic, sorry. Just guess, take a guess of how you would imagine someone would feel in that situation. What you're doing is you're just observing what's happening, this thing that you're studying that you're wanting to get to know more about. Mm-hmm. And then you can lead in with a question. So sometimes it can happen more concentrically, like you're just getting closer and closer to it, as opposed to like this direct question. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be like laser in your questions. Sometimes you can just zoom out a little bit and let it be an observation.
I'm glad you said that. It reminds me of the very, masculine skill of space holding.
Yes.
So as she's talking, it's not necessarily that you have all these questions, although we love a good fuck. But do not pull that out of context. We love a good follow-up question. It's the space holding of just listening and being present. Mm-hmm. Even saying back to her what she said, which is great in conflict, by the way. Mm-hmm. Listening, wow, so you went to XYZ place. That's so cool. Just the engagement. That's all it is. And it's almost like this invitation for her to keep talking. Mm-hmm. The reflection becomes either she can clarify, oh, actually I felt this way, or she'll be like, yes, and we did A, B, C, D, E, F, G, Mm-hmm. I love that space holding.
Yeah.
So good.
Amazing, which does require you to be present as a man. We ready to go there?
Let's go there.
Let's go there. It requires you to be present as the masculine partner. When you're showing up on a date, if you are not wanting for her to show up in her masculine energy, one of the kindest things you can do is to imagine yourself being the container of the date, the space holder. You are kind of like putting your arms out here, holding some room for there to be whatever happens between the two of you, kind of the big hula hoop. My dance teacher always talks about the hula hoop between us that we need to be holding. That's where the magic happens, is in this hula hoop space between the two of you, and you are just there to make sure that the hula hoop's there.
That's such a great analogy.
Magic happens once there's room.
And you're in ballroom,
Ballroom dancing, yes.
So this is a couple dance, and they're saying, hold the hula hoop. Your brain must have been like, ding, 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 ding.
My dance teacher has some great analogies, and I'm like, got it. I got that one. Yes.
You get a coach on that.
That one made so much sense to me, and I think it will for men too, because that is energetically what you're doing. When we're saying to give fucks, to give follow-up questions, you don't have to close that space. You just need to invite there to remain space. And that's all you're doing, is just creating a little more space for her to be there, because the more space that she has, the more skillful you become as a man of holding this space, the more she will fill. The feminine is liquid. It is fluid. It will fill the space that is available.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And the multiple expressions of the feminine you'll get. Playful, silly, funny, sensual, like you'll get it all as you become a good space holder. The counterpart, were you finished with that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, because I want to jump off your analogy with hula hoop here. I think this is great. One of the ways that men can show up in their feminine on dates is they're a little bit ungrounded or scattered. Their energy's kind of all over the place. So like a good example is if you guys are going out together and you both walk into the restaurant and you see some friends over there and you just like immediately walk over, oh, hey, how's it going? Blah, blah. You start talking to them. It's so fun. You're excited. And she's over there like, I don't know those people. Where's the hula hoop?
Yeah.
Where's the hula hoop? And she'll probably be able to function just fine. She'll come over, introduce herself, all those things. But what would keep her in that really feminine, melty, playful, confident energy is if instead in that moment you were like, oh my gosh, these are my friends. Let me come introduce you. You've got your hand on the small of her back and you walk up together and you introduce her. That's the hula hoop. You're still holding the space. The moment you left and had this kind of like, I don't know, feminine fun urge, I would say, right? You just kind of got ungrounded and were like so excited. She was feeling, instead of like the water being contained, like a puddle.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You can only like transport water when it's contained.
Yes.
It will just like bleh.
Again, not a bad thing. You know, you're not like in trouble. It's not a hard rule. We're telling you how to invite her most empowered feminine energy. And that is going to be something where I bet you she's going to feel a little left behind, depending on the woman. Yeah. She wants to feel like you are attuned to her and are aware of her and conscientious of her. This isn't babysitting her or parenting her. It's just the awareness and the care for her experience and holding that container for the two of you as a unit.
Such a great point. Yeah.
Yeah.
As the relationship progresses, obviously, you would want to introduce your partner, obviously. But she wants to, at that point, feel like you've got her. Proud to be with her. You want to include her as part of your unit. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. And you know, the other thing is like if you're on the dates and you're not very present, you might be scatterbrained. So you're thinking about all kinds of different things. I'm telling you, the feminine feels this. There can be no words. She feels the ungrounded, scattered energy of like, he is not here. He's thinking about something else. And that is going to make her do one of two things. Go into her guarded, wounded masculine, or like Courtney was saying, pull back all her energy and kind of disengage. Not a problem, but not her most empowered, feminine, melty, juicy energy that you're wanting. So being present is really important.
So good. It brought me back to the first points of if you are in that scattered, kind of like diffused place, she's going to either drop back and try to play cool and be the cool girl, like, it's fine, it's fine, I don't need all of your attention. Or come into that like bidding, like, hey, I'm over here, in an effort to get you to meet that need of being seen. They're all human needs. I think that's what's so interesting is we talk about masculine and feminine in a way to create a healthy hula hoop dynamic together so that you can dance, so that you can play and like read each other's body language and it be fluid and dynamic and fun. But at the end of the day, we're all human, and we all have the need to be seen and to feel like the person that is across from us is capable of seeing all of the parts of us that we're wanting to bring forward.
Yeah, well said. They're just human needs. And feminine masculine is just a construct for you to understand each other's needs. For me, and I would say Courtney as well, it's been very supportive, especially with dating dynamics where you want there to be polarity.
Yeah.
So your summary of things you need, here's what you need to know, what to remember out of this conversation. Number one, she wants to feel desired and pursued. So being consistent with your communication is a really great way to do that. Number two, staying attuned to her level of engagement. So you're not overwhelming her with all those bids, but really paying attention to, is she engaging back, as I'm pursuing her. Make the plan. Make the plan. Make the plan just in the script we told you. Oh, we didn't talk about this one, but
Oh, yeah.
one more little piece of honey is to, shortly after that first, second date, in that early dating stage, as much as you can within a day or two, setting the plan for the next date is really important. Otherwise, women kind of feel like, is he interested, is he not? They pull their energy back into themselves, or they find themselves getting needy and anxious, and then they're realizing, I feel needy and anxious with him, and I don't like the way that feels, so I'm going to go over here. She wants to feel that container of you pursuing her.
Not the vibe you want to be associated with.
Exactly, yeah. Give fucks.
Lots of them.
Yeah.
Lots of follow-up questions.
Hold the space of the conversation and be present. All these things are a recipe for bringing out the most empowered feminine energy in her. Yeah. Over time, obviously.
Yep. And I love that all of these, I think all of these are things that are minor shifts. You don't have to have this overhaul of your personality to be this empowered masculine man that we always talk about and put this on a pedestal. These are minor shifts that you're probably doing, just not in this specific context. So practicing them in the dating context, I think, is so profound and will create a totally different experience for you. Different experience of who you're getting, who's sitting across the table from you, and also how you feel about yourself. It's going to make it a lot more fun.
Yeah, totally. And it takes practice, so don't beat up on yourself. If I could recommend anything, it would be pick one or two things you really want to practice well for your next few dates, and then feel solid about them, and then try adding on another skill. It takes time to learn, it really does. Especially based on your background of, your own trauma, your own experiences, your own socialization, your childhood. Some of these things are going to feel harder for certain men than they will others. And that's okay.
Yep.
It's not about perfection.
Nope.
If you want more content like this, if you want to understand the secret to understanding women, I would recommend our masterclass, which is understanding what she needs emotionally and how to provide it. If your woman is saying to you, I don't feel like you're listening, I don't feel like you see me, I don't feel like you're hearing me, and you're kind of clashing, that masterclass is going to be the solution. It's about 90 minutes, and it's a step-by-step how to give her what she's needing emotionally. The scripting and the phrases we use in it are really great too for you to practice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And to understand yourself.
Totally.
Man,
Yes.
So good. Such a great recommendation. Yeah, that would definitely be number one point of study. I do have a full program on this if this is something you want to deep dive even further. I have a full men's program about these skills, developing these. These are skills that you can develop on your own, but the background of why these skills haven't necessarily been developed so that it flows more fluidly, and understanding how the feminine expresses naturally so that you can be able to discern a little bit with more ease and more, more ease. Just let it be easy. Let seeing women and interpreting it correctly be easy for you. There's a couple just minor shifts in the way that men approach these scenarios that are pretty common for men that we dive into in deeper context so that you can let that whole process be easier.
Love it. So great. So you've got Courtney's Rooted and you've got the masterclass that are great resources after this. And as always, binge the prior episodes. We have so many episodes directed toward men, and I do think we're going to do quite a few more episodes directed toward men. So let us know if you have questions. Write in. You can write us on Instagram. It's the For the Love of Men podcast. Make sure you put that THE in the front. We have TikTok. You could write us on there, For the Love of Men podcast. You could message either of us personally. Courtney's Instagram is Courtney_Shand. Mine is Building Bree Coaching. TikTok is Building Bree. I think I misspoke that earlier. So you can connect with us on socials and send it in any way you'd like.
Yep. Or there's a space below this on Spotify if you're listening to the show. There is a comment space. YouTube, same thing. Let us know. We've got lots of points of entry that you can connect with us. We want to hear from you. And men, do us a favor. We would love your help with this because we want for this to be really useful topics and information for you. So let us know where you feel like you get stuck in the dating space. Are there these skills that we mentioned? Are these ones that you feel like are challenging, or are there other specific scenarios where you feel like you get stuck repeatedly? I think it would be really fun to deep dive some Q&A.
Totally. We've been saying we'd love to do a Q&A episode, but we just need your...
We need your help.
We need your questions to give you the A's.
Yeah.
So, okay, if you love this episode, share it with another man, please. And rate the show if you don't mind. We're really trying to move up in those ranks. That's, at least for me, that's a personal goal of mine. And it helps get the show out to more people so that everyone can have healthier relationships. So if you don't mind rating the show, that would be amazing. It's on Spotify and Apple. I think that's it. We'll see you later. Have a great week.
Bye.